guys, it is Charles Almighty Wraith of Game Warriors Gaming for a Cause, and this is Unscripted. So today we're going to be talking about perception versus reality. So it's something that I just had to have a hard conversation with my son about perception and everything. Um, so I felt like this was a perfect time to talk about it. I'm gonna give a couple examples. Some of them are just little minor things, and then I'm gonna tie it up with some takeaways. So we're gonna start out with one that's not too serious. It's just it goes along with the fact that we perceive things based on lack of knowledge or lack of insight, um, and that's uh, when I worked at GameStop, we had people that assumed that because we sold the games that we made the games. I had that same situation when I worked at Walmart, where they thought that we could just snap our fingers and go to the back and it was automatically there. That's not, and anybody that's worked in retail knows that that's not the reality of things. Like I said, that's just a minor one, and it goes to speak of you know us not thinking about the logistics of everything. Now, the one that I talked about that I had to have a conversation with my son deals with Game Warriors, and the fact that I had to tell him that he was no longer. He decided that he was not going to be able to compete in Game Warrior events uh, as a participant because of the perception that he has an upper hand in the tournaments because he's my son. Because they think that because I have because I own 98% of those games that are played, that he has an advantage because of it. Um, which in reality is he doesn't like 90% of those games. He has his own handful of games that he plays. Now, the majority of the games on the list he has played at some point in time, with the exception of sports titles. He, uh, he doesn't play a whole lot of shooters. He does from time to time. Um, and even in that, he's only got a couple of them that he really likes playing. Um, and we get where they're coming from, that perception and everything. So we talked about it and he understood it. He didn't like it because he enjoys the competition. He enjoys um, stretching himself outside of his normal gaming habits. And, and the reality is, out of all the events that he's competed in, he's only made it to the finals 3 times. I once was in a qualifying round for our flood relief, um, which he lost completely. And then next one, he for one of the other tournaments we did, I think it was for the food pantry. He he made it to the finals and took second place. And then this past tournament for the move, he actually made it and won it. Um, Now to him, it hurts, but he understands where we're coming from, and he doesn't want to hurt the reputation of Game Warriors or anything like that. But to him, it still hurt. Now the final one is really personal, and it's about me overcoming my perception, and it is a perception about me. Um, so this is where some people's lack of communication or their actions or whatever can influence how you perceive yourself. So for me growing up I come from a broken home. There was some abuse and stuff like that. Um, and one of the hardest things for me that killed my confidence in myself, and hinders me from being all that I can be, even to this day. I have moments where it affects me, and it goes back to the fact that um, being from a broken home, uh, my mom, she, for reasons, you know, left and everything else, and she had bitterness and hatred towards my father and everything. And I'm not saying that that's unfounded or anything like that, but it was known and everything. So, and this is where the perception comes into play, is that she would make a comment about me being just like him. Now, to me, um, from the other viewpoint, uh, at that point in time, my father was my hero. He was, you know, I knew he was flawed, and he had his problems and everything else, but he still was my hero. He was someone that taught me to do what is right. He taught me to help others and everything else. But when my mother says that, what I looked at it was that her anger and distrust and everything else, all of her negative emotions that she had for my father transferred to me. And that's not the case, but that's how I perceived it. Um, and for the longest time, that hurt me and it hindered me. And like I said, it still to this day, at certain times, it will affect me and negatively. I mean, I've also used it to push me to be better, but a lot of times it hurts. Um, Even though logically I know that that's not what she meant by that, but when you have that being told to you, you're connecting the dots, and then when you overhear her talking about certain situations and stuff like that to her friends and family and everything else, which wasn't meant for me to hear, that just reinforces it. So I had to overcome that perception that my mom, every time that she looked at me, she saw my dad, and you know, and that caused tension in our relationship. And it, you know, it's something that I had to struggle to overcome. Excuse me. But um, so my keynotes and my takeaways from this is, you don't always know the whole story, and your perception may make the situation look one way when it's actually another way. Whereas, you don't you may see someone that looks like they've got it all together, but in actuality, they're falling apart. And they need a friend. They need encouragement, even though that they seem like they've got it all together. They don't. And it's so easy for us to come up with these misconceptions and uh, preconceived notions of people, of events, and stuff like that, based on what our perception is of the situation. So my my advice to you is to reach beyond your perception of the situation, find out more facts, you know, before you just chalk it up and say this is how it is. When you might miss a great opportunity to do something uh, awesome, you know, do something for someone, uh, and stuff like that. And so, in closing, guys, just think before you speak. Um, and until next time, this is Charles Almighty Ray saying stay awesome.
Hey guys, I really hope y'all enjoyed our video. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe buttons. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, whatever your social media preference is. And check out our website for scheduled events and a little bit more about us. Till next time, guys, it's Almighty Ray saying stay awesome.